Hey, what's up guys? Radku here, back with another Yu-Gi-Oh video, and today's gonna be DDD. So without further ado, let's get into it. So this deck's playstyle is very cross-sheep. Basically, you can use every type of summoning method in this deck pretty effectively. Um, it can pendulum summon some pretty high-powered monsters because pretty much all the DD pendulum monsters are very powerful. As well as this deck can successfully pull off stuff like the Buster Lock, and there are so many engines that you can put into this deck that it is super effective. So without further ado, let's get into it. So starting things off, I played 3 copies of DD Savant Kepler. This is your high-powered scale 10 card. You cannot special summon except for DD monsters. Then once per turn during your standby phase, reduce the card's scale by 2. Then destroy all monsters you control with equal or less, or equal or greater scale than it. Level, sorry. Screw it. So this is pretty good, but its main effect is what's really important. If this card is normally special summoned, you can activate one of these following effects. Target one DD monster card you control, return it to the hand, or add one dark contract card from your deck to your hand, which this deck merges really well with the dark contract cards, which can work out really well in your favor. Then I play 3 copies of DD Lamia. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can send one DD or Dark Contract card from your hand or face-up field to the graveyard, except Lamia. Then special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. So this can really start off your Helki Fibrax plays to summon out another Lamia, because you really don't run a ton of tuners in this deck, but you do run 2 sets of them, which is pretty good considering the fact that you could go into your Helki Fibrax and still have plenty of targets for your plays. Then I play both of the slimes, DD Necro Slime. If this card is in the graveyard, you can fusion summon one DDD monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed from your graveyard, including this card. So this can really help, like, if you want to end a turn, you can go into Flame King Genghis, because this deck can combo really well and have pretty killer boards at the end of the turn. So if you're able to super easily summon out Genghis, it's a great ender for you to have. Then I play 3 copies of Swirl Slime. It's basically the same effect, except you can fusion summon from your hand. So then I play 3 copies of Oblivion King Abyss Ragnarok. This card has such a mouthful of text, it's kind of annoying. If you special summon a DD monster, except for special summon a DD monster, except during the damage step, you can target one DD monster in your graveyard. Any battle damage your opponent takes becomes half. Also special summon that monster, and if you do take 1000 points of damage, you can only use the effect once per turn. Great pendulum effect. And a lot of your cards can help you bounce cards back to your hand, so being able to return this to your hand so you can special summon it later is really good. If this card is normally special summon, you can target one DDD monster in your graveyard, special summon it. You can only use the effect once per turn. Then once per turn, you contribute one other DD monster, then target one monster your opponent controls, banish it. So this deck works out really well. This card specifically reminds me of X-Sabers. Go check out the deck profile I did a few days ago, where it can snipe cards by tributing, but X-Sabers would snipe cards out of your opponent's hand instead of their field. But this is really good. Then I play, because this can special summon literally anything in your deck. I play 2 copies of Ghost. This is basically just another tuner, and its effect is if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one DD monster or Dark Contract card in your graveyard. Except Ghost, send one card from your deck to the graveyard with that name. If this card is banished, you can target one of your banished DD monsters or Dark Contract and then return it to the graveyard. So this is kind of meh. You can send it to the graveyard, which can help you send your slimes, which can definitely help you further your plays if you want to end with a Genghis in the through Necro Slime, and then you can renew it with Ghost, which could be a pretty worthwhile combo. But it's not exactly the best card when it comes to finishing off boards. Other than, again, the Necro Slime play. Then I played 2 copies of DD Chaos King Apocalypse. You can banish 2 DD monsters from your graveyard, special summon this card from your Pendulum Zone, which can really just great start play. During your opponent's turn, if this card is in the graveyard, if this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can target up to 2 spell or trap cards you control. You cannot special summon monsters except for fiend monsters. Also, destroy the targeted cards, and if you do, special summon this card. This is a quick effect. You can only use this effect once per turn. So, really good effect. Basically a free special summon, and its pendulum effect is pretty good, being able to pendulum summon first, then summon it out. But I would say that it's not as good as some of the other DDD monsters. But it's still pretty essential to your combos. Then I played 2 copies of Savant Copernicus. You cannot pendulum summon except DDs. Then once per turn, while this card is in the Pendulum Zone, you can negate the activated spell effects that would inflict damage to you. It's not exactly the best effect, but its main effect is what counts. This card is normal summoned or special summoned. You can send one DD or Dark Contract card from your deck to the graveyard, except Copernicus, which can really start off your plays, because the difference between Ghost Slime Ghost and this is that this has to be in your graveyard to use the effect. Then this has to be on the field, which can start off your plays better than Ghost can. Then I played 2 copies of Savant Galilei. I really only play this because this is a scale 1. You have a lot of low-level monsters, and you want to be able to summon them out. So I played 2 copies of this just as a substitute. If you really wanted to, you could probably sub both these 3 out for 3 copies of Lilith, because that's another tuner, I'm pretty sure. Then I play 1 copy of Cerberus. When this card is pendulum summoned from your hand, while you control a DD or other than DD Cerberus, you can target one continuous trap or spell in your graveyard, add it to your hand. This can help renew your Dark Contracts, and let's ignore this pendulum effect. Then I play 1 Dragon Buster Destruction Sword, just because this deck can pretty effectively use the Buster Lock. So for the spell cards, 3 Dark Contract with the Gate, and 2 Dark Contract with the Swamp King. Fusion spell in the deck, and you can search out your DDs with this. Then for the one-ofs, 1 Upstart, 1 for 1, because you can help search out your Lamia, your Kepler, your Necro Slime, pretty much anything. Then 1 Monster Reborn, just because you have a lot of graveyard effects. Plus, if you're stuck in a position where you can't get out of it, you can use it to summon back your Oblivion King Abyss Ragnarok, and then combo off pretty well. I'm still salty about this, but 1 Called by the Grave, just because it's Called by the Grave. Then 3 Potted Desires. That's why I play 2 copies of these and 2 copies of these, just so that you can help keep up the consistency of the deck if you end up banishing them by accident. And then this isn't really that important. Then I play 3 Allure of Darkness, just because this card is super powerful in this deck, especially since we play such a high count of monsters and they're all dark monsters. So that is it for the main deck. I'd say it's pretty consistent. If you ever come into trouble with consistency in this deck, you can add like 2 copies of Pot of Avarice, because this deck can Synchro Summon and Fusion Summon and Link Summon, which means all your materials are going to be in the graveyard, while you really only run 2 monsters that are level 8, or that are Xyz monsters, so you can pretty effectively use Pot of Avarice in this deck. Then for the extra deck, 3 copies of Flame King Genghis. This is the only reason you run the slimes, because this is one of the best fusions, like, in the DD archetype. If another DD monster is special summoned to your field while you control this face-up card, you could target 1 DD monster in your graveyard, special summon it. It's hard once per turn. Then if this card is destroyed by battle or in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can target 1 Dark Contract card in your graveyard, add it to your hand. This can help you renew your Swamp King contract to help go into another Genghis, which can really help you out. That's it for the fusion monsters. We really do alternate with the types of monsters we use. The only ones we don't use is rituals, but that doesn't really matter. Then I play 2 copies of Siegfried. During either player's turn, you can target 1 face-up spell or trap card on the field. That target has its effect negated until the end of the next standby phase. Then you can only use the effect once per turn. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, gain 1,000 life points for each Dark Contract card you control. So the thing is that the Dark Contracts have effects at the end of them where you take 1,000 points of damage. So by negating it until the next standby phase, you're basically keeping your effects, keeping away effect damage, while still like furthering your plays. Play 1 copy of Alexander, 2 copies of High Gust King Alexander. I really should only play 2 copies of Alexander and cut out one of the High King, but it's still a pretty good card. If you control 3 or more DDD monsters on the field, this card gains 3,000 attack. If another DD monster is normally special summoned while this card is on the field, except during the damage step, you can target 1 DD monster in your graveyard, special summon it. Free special summon, free 6,000 attack beater on the field, especially since this deck can combo so well. 1 Borreload Savage Dragon for negation, because we play enough Link monsters to supplement that. For the Link monsters, 1 Abyss King Gilgamesh, because this is probably one of your best combo pieces in the deck. It's definitely really effective, and it's been a while since the this Link monster came out, but it's definitely very effective in this deck. 1 Cross Sheep, just because we play so many different types, you can effectively use all their effects, all of its effects, during each turn. So even though it is a hard once per turn on all its effects, then I play 1 Crystron Halki Fibrax, just because, again, you can summon out either of these 2, which can be really effective if you end up coming across trouble. Then you can play 1 Union Carrier. This is kind of subbable for anything, because I play the Dragon Buster Destruction Lock. So it's effective, and with the fact that you can basically just end your combo with that, which is really good. 1 DD Duo Don King Kila Yuga. This is like your big beatstick Xyz monster. A lot of your rank 8s will, or level 8s monsters will be able to go into this pretty easily. Plus the fact that, again, a lot of your monsters are level 8, which can really help go into such a big and powerful monster. Then 1 DD Super Doom King Dark Armageddon, because I just like the name and I needed a last substitute spot. Tell me what you think down in the comments of a spot that I can sub in for this, because I'm not exactly sure this is the best option. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the deck profile. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, let me know what you thought, and let me know if there's anything else that you think I should sub out for this card. And let me know if there's anything that you think I messed up on in the in the main deck, because I'd say the extra deck is pretty solid, except for maybe the Alexander and this. But yeah, that's pretty much it, and I will see you in the next Yu-Gi-Oh video. Peace, guys.